Welcome back again to the Popping Bubbles podcast, our special episode, as you can see still from the online recording. Following the World Cup in Utrecht, Enactus World Cup 2023, we're having conversations with the national competition winners all over the world to get a feel of what they've been doing and how they've been improving the world. So today it's me again. My co-host Lisa could not make it, unfortunately, but I do have two wonderful ladies here. Um, could you guys introduce yourself a little bit?
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Masejo from the Enactus South Africa, and I am with my colleague here. She will introduce herself.
Good day, everybody. I'm Michelle from Enactus South Africa. Thank you.
So you are from. I have not ever spoken to anyone from Enactus South Africa before. That's really great. You guys have been you guys are national champions, right, for this year?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Congratulations. That must have
Thank
been
Thank
you.
you.
quite exciting.
Yes, it was. It was actually.
So how long have you both been active within Enactus?
I've been in Enactus since 2020, so this is my fourth year. Michelle?
This is my second year in Enactus. I joined the beginning of last year.
Wow. Yeah. Probably for the recording, people will find this very annoying, but like I say this every single time. I think that like when you've been in active for 2 years, it's you're kind of a veteran, right? So especially 4 years, like
Yeah.
you see a lot. Like I mean, generally, I feel like a tenure at Enactus is like 2 and 3, 4 years maybe, and that's it. So
Yeah.
you've really seen it all, both of you.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
so so 4 years. That's the longest that I've seen thus far. What keeps you going?
I think I took it as a challenge to sort of have a practice run at the corporate world. So climbing up the corporate ladder. So I started as a project leader, and then I went for deputy president, and then now I'm president. So I took it as a challenge for myself. Okay, would I be able to do this in real life? And then yeah.
It's an interesting angle. I've not heard that one before. And Michelle, how about you?
Well,
2 years?
yes, 2 years. Well, basically, being at Enactus, well, I've learned from the beginning of the first year. I was just trying out things, different portfolios, trying to see what actually grinds my gears at Enactus as an entrepreneur. And then this year, I got a chance to be Secretary General. Now I'm in depth. I get to work in the admin side, so now I can actually see what it takes to get us where our projects are going. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And about your projects, I'm really looking forward to hearing about your projects. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about the projects that you guys have running there.
So the current project that we're actually going to be presenting is called Vermi Village. It's centered around vermiculture. So it's basically the breeding of earthworms to produce organic compost, fertilizer, anything that's just organic agriculture wise. So that's the current project that we are focusing on. But there are other projects will be that we have presented under the competition of Ford. So Michelle is actually the leader of that project. She will tell you more about that.
Okay, so I'm the lead of the project Central, which basically means sunbeam. But yes, basically we are focusing on making solar energy accessible to communities, vendors, your caravans, such things. So that's where we are. That's where our focus is on. We are about to begin working on our prototype. It's a new project, and we just got funding from the Ford C3 Challenge Cycle 10. So yes, we are beginning our prototype on that. Yes.
That's cool. I mean, those are two so widely different projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like here in the Netherlands, we have a lot of projects that are like quite. You could see how they would work, and I feel like with the earthworms as well, is like you kind of understand the direction, but the one with like solar panels, it feels like such a large challenge to get going, especially funding wise. Congratulations on the funding. That must have been really great.
Thank you.
And so how long have these projects been running for?
So the Vermi Village one has actually been running since 2019,
Hmm.
but it was running with two different aspects. The first aspect was the crop farming aspect, and then only this year did we focus more on the actual vermiculture aspect, where we're trying to now mitigate the problem of poor soil quality within our region based on the agricultural challenges that we have in South Africa. So, yes, so you can say that it's quite, we just started with it, but we haven't really just started with it at the same
Well,
time.
you
Yeah.
changed focus, if I say that correctly.
Yes, so our business model was based on two pillars, and we just focused on the second pillar now.
Hmm. And how did you decide to make that switch? Where did that come from?
It actually came from the produce that we saw in our crop farming aspect. So we realized that some of the crops that we were producing were not coming out with such great quality. And then we ran some tests on the soil and we realized that the soil is the problem. So then we decided to then segue into vermiculture because it tackles that poor soil conditions, and it also tackles a couple of other factors such as the high price of fertilizer and all those things. And we then decided we want to go organic. So then we saw the market that was there with regards to just vermiculture on its own.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I think the way you make it sound, it's like, oh yeah, that was so logical. But I mean, it
Um,
takes a lot to be to be working on something for many years and then decide that
exactly.
you are going to take a different direction. I think that that's a really hard thing to do. Was that?
Yeah.
And I, of course, this doesn't happen overnight. What actually drove you to go and test the soil? What was?
Um, I think it was, like I said, mainly it was the produce. We were not able to tap into the market that we wanted to because the crops were not of good quality. So we just wanted to have better quality, and we just decided, okay, we didn't just decide on our own. We had expert advice. Obviously, we had professors that would come in to the project site visits, and they would check, and then they advised us that okay, it's probably the soil, test the soil, and then we got the results and realized, okay, the soil is the problem. But like you said, it was a bit challenging now moving from focusing from the crop farming and focusing more on the vermiculture because both are, in as much as they're interlinked, but they are two different aspects of agriculture, and they both come with their own challenges and setting up and the whole thing. So we had to focus on vermiculture, see how we can make our own money from that revenue in terms of revenue streams and what is the cost structure. Basically, had to now create an entire business model canvas just for this aspect. So, yeah.
And how long ago was this that you were in this process?
We started this process in 2021, yes.
So, and it worked
And
out, I
then
guess.
yeah, after a long while, after some time, but we had to get training. We got training, and that's when we realized from the training that this is actually a new market with for South Africa. Basically, it's a new market in terms of how you can make money from vermiculture. It doesn't just have to be another aspect of our project that just helps with the poor soil quality. It can actually be another way of, it can actually be a business on its own. And that's why we decided, okay, we're gonna start a business focusing only on vermiculture. And we then decided our revenue streams will be trainings, and we will collaborate with schools to now, further our research, and as well as maybe just create more awareness in terms of vermiculture, and just bring back the culture of agriculture in South Africa, because our schools are actually lacking that. So yeah, there's quite a lot of factors that, as the time goes on, we get to realize that, oh, this is like an onion. You get to unravel new factors around this, and it's I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard this from a different angle. It's like once you start and you kind of dive into a topic, more stuff just unveils itself to you as you're busy.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
exactly.
and what about the solar panel project? How long has that been going on for? 2 years, you said, or
Since December
since December?
2022, yes. During the Summer Action Challenge,
Hmm.
basically, so we had a lot of meetings as the executives, so to make sure that everything is in tune. But I think, in South Africa, we have the energy crisis, the load shedding. Yes. So that hindered a lot of us from attending the meetings and checking up on everyone if they are doing well on their enterprises. And I thought, if I'm suffering this much and I'm in the city, and what about people who, who are in other levels, who do not even have access to generators, alternative sources of energy? Wouldn't they need something portable, as portable, you know, source of energy that they can invest in, but also make it something that they don't have to refill every time, repay? So solar energy, it's readily available. They can use it every time. So that's when it started, and I was advised by my president, "Well, why don't you also enter the Summer Action Challenge with your with your new project? Start an enterprise there and there. That is it. Why don't you do it?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it was just an idea that I just mentioned in one meeting, and then from there, this is how far we are 8 months later.
Wow. I mean, that's a whole different road that you went down then. So and when did you know that you were going to get that grant from the competition?
We entered the fourth challenge when it opened. I think that was around April, and then we landed at the national competition. Yes, no, a few weeks before the national competition, the finalists were announced. So yes, and then we were presented with an award at the national competition.
Huh.
Yes.
So what's next then? Now you're going to have to actually go and do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
Now
no
we have
longer
to
just an
actually do
idea.
it. Now the
yeah.
pressure is more. We had to show them the drawings that this is actually now there. It's no longer on paper. Yes, that's where we are now.
Really cool. So obviously you won the national championship, so you've done something really great this year. Um, Maybe you could tell me a little bit about like some challenges that you faced this year specifically within Enactus. You've obviously both been there for multiple years, but specifically this year, what were the greatest challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
I think the greatest challenge that I personally faced was the delegation aspect, because now it was a matter of we're scaling up. We're no longer just operating as a project. We are now operating as an enterprise, and we have to own up to our own enterprise. We have to register it as our own company, and we have to make sure that the operations are running, and we have to make sure that everything is running like an actual business. So that was a bit precious, because it was, yeah, it was a bit challenging, but I got to learn from there that that's when now you need to start delegating, because you can't do everything on your own. You need to start delegating to the respective people that are there in their offices and in their roles. And yeah, I think for me that was the greatest challenge, Michelle.
Well, the greatest challenge for me, it came when we were preparing for the main competitions, the regionals and the nationals. I realized that there's more to being a secretary general than just agendas and minutes, because now we need audit files. So now I have to make sure that every portfolio uploads what they do, you see. Because as much as we do everything, but there has to be a paper trail that we are actually doing this. It
Mm.
has to be followed. Well, that has much pressure, so I have to attend every meeting and make sure that they record everything. And that was a lot of pressure. I'm also a student, so balancing those two,
Yeah.
it was a lot of work, but we made it or did pass in tears.
Yeah, I that is a thing that I hear often, and I think a thing that when I was part of Enactus was also definitely a thing is obviously your full time students next to doing this as well, and especially now if your project has become an enterprise, I assume that it just is more work. There's never less work.
Yes.
Um, like how do you guys like? I assume that you both don't are not doing this solo. You have a team of people around you.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Like, I assume that there's people that want to put in more energy or less energy, or want to focus more on school or more on the projects. How do you deal with that within in your Enactus?
I think we had to, for our project specifically, we had to have an organizational structure. We tend to have this thing of we have titles, but we don't back the titles up with the work. So I had to now take that decision that, okay, if you're gonna take this title, you're gonna have to take the responsibilities that come with that title. So if you're operational, then you need to, if you're gonna be a COO, then you need to show us that you're a COO. If you're going to be in this office, you need to show us.
Hmm.
So that's what we did. We focused more on the strengths and the skills that our members actually have, and then we also, like you said, the are those members that show more participation than those. So obviously, you will then entrust those that have shown more reliability, will entrust them with more responsibilities, and that's basically how we still dealing with it, how we delegating. I'm delegating tasks based on people's availability, people's participation, and how reliable they are.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that's always a thing. It's like if you have a project, I don't know if this is familiar, but it's like kind of like at the beginning, everybody's super enthusiastic, and then you hit your
Yeah.
first wall, and then it's like you go into like this ditch, and then you try to have to climb out, and
Yeah.
you really need people that are motivated and that are willing to kind of carry the
Exactly.
load and the low days, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could do something like different this year, um, what would you do different? Looking at the progress that you've made with your respective projects this year, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? This is maybe a hard question, but I'm sure that there is
It is.
I'm sure that there must be something that you were like, okay, well, if I would have known this way in the beginning, I would have done it a different way. I would have done that right away.
I think from personal experience, in terms of collaboration, we get really excited with partnering with everyone that wants to partner with you. And then you get to learn that there are certain partnerships that are not worth your time, because you find that these are just people that want to be associated with you for your name, not necessarily to put in any, good work in it. So I think what I would do differently is really assess the partners that we get into partnership with, and then not take too long to decide on whether are we going to go with this person or not. I think that has been a very, very huge like takeaway from my side this year. Like, to now decide who which partners to take and which one not to take. Yeah.
Is that do you have like a story to tell? Like, is have you like what I this is interesting because I feel like a lot of the teams that I've spoken obviously work with partners, and they always claim that their partners are their biggest assets in getting something done. But this is the first time that I'm hearing that, like, being critical on selecting partners is also very important.
Well, this is, I don't think I can share the story itself, but I can just say, generally speaking, that we are like runner up runner-up champions, so meaning that we won last year as well.
Hmm.
So we received a lot more recognition this year than we did last year because now we're runner-up and people are just like, whoa. So everybody wants to be associated with you because you're in the limelight, especially within the university that we're in. It's not a huge university, it's quite small. So the different departments would want to now associate themselves with us and they would want to collaborate with us, but they wouldn't bring anything to the table as much. And especially when it comes to doing the work or meeting up to the deadlines. So that's the challenge that we've met, that okay, we have a lot of people or a lot of yes, a lot of partners that are saying we want to be in contact or we want to actually collaborate, but they don't bring anything to the table. And then we find ourselves in a bit of a situation where we have made certain promises to other individuals based on these partnerships. So then it becomes a bit of a hassle here and there. So I've come to learn that in as much as partners are very much necessary in terms of collaboration, but you also need to know who you are actually partnering yourself with, and are they actually going to pull through? That's when our background check is necessary. I think now I've learned why companies actually do background check. You don't just like take anyone, and you really have to make sure that okay, these are the these are the people that I want to be with. They're gonna be here for the long run, and this is how I can take advantage of this partnership. And if it doesn't work out, this is how I can easily now fall into another partnership. So those are the tricks a little bit that I've learned, that okay, you don't have to take everyone that says they want to be on.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's a good one. I mean, you have to set clear terms, I assume, uh, and
Exactly,
and build
exactly.
in an option to leave if it's actually dragging you down more than it's helping you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Interesting. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about the national competition there in South Africa. How was it? Was it fun?
Oh, yes, it was very fun. It was my first time attending the national competition this year. Last year I could not attend because it was clashing with my exams, but this year I could attend. So it was very fun. The teams, seeing the different teams from the different universities, they can sing. I kept on joining groups from different universities just to sing, just shine, be happy. Everyone was happy to be there. The atmosphere didn't change even after the initial leagues, the league rounds, and then they were announced that we're going to the next league and others were not going. They were still happy to be there. It's like an amazing time. And then we got the opportunity to network.
Yeah.
That was amazing with people from different companies, different fields. Now you can actually meet your sponsors. All those competitions that we enter, now you're meeting those people in the same room, people who you would never thought you would meet. We are from a small town university, so now you're meeting the CEO of Ford. So it's like, oh, okay, this is huge. This is
Yeah.
huge. And you actually have a conversation like your peers. So that is actually something that is very amazing. So it was amazing, the atmosphere and everything. Yeah, so it was very, very.
I I totally recognize that here as well. It's like the way the energy felt to me was kind of like you're at like a concert, and there's just like this constant, like, there's nervousness in the air because people are very nervous about presenting, obviously, but also a lot of like
Yeah.
um, people are very ecstatic to be there, and it's really fun. And yeah, what you said, the networking, definitely, like, I met so many fun people. It was, and projects, and partners. It was great. um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that it's all the same in every single country, and that means that the World Cup is going to be even bigger, right?
Exactly. It
That's the thing.
is.
We had the national competition was like 600 people, I think, from like a handful of
Wow.
universities, but this World Cup is going to be
Yeah.
3,500 people from 38 different countries. Is going to be
Wow.
was going to be
Wow.
mega.
Yeah.
So on the World Cup, obviously you must be preparing already. How is that going? How's the preparations going?
It's really hectic, really hectic because we are trying to now beat ourselves as like national champions. We want to really now have more impact and have more revenue and have something better to present than what we presented at the national competition. So we would like to just level up a little bit. So
Mm.
that means a little bit more work, a little bit more sacrificing of sleep and all those things. So, yeah, it's
Yeah, you
really
can only
hectic.
sacrifice a couple things, right? It's either school or work or sleep. Not.
Yeah,
And so, are you excited to come to the Netherlands?
Yes.
very excited. We're very excited.
Yes.
I think it's going to be great. We've already booked our accommodation. We have a lot of things that we have in terms of admin that we've already made sure. I think we learned a lot last year because we were in Puerto Rico last year. So we got to
Mm.
learn the process of, being ready. So we are a bit ahead this year. We're a bit more on par than we were last year because last year was the first time post COVID that we went to the World Cup as South Africa. So it was a bit of a hassle. But this year I feel like we're a bit more prepared than we were last year. So we are very excited. Everyone is really excited. We even checked the different areas around the hotel that we're going to be staying. We're really excited to hear of the activities that are being prepared for this year for the excursions. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, it will be really fun to have you in the Netherlands and see your presentation. And I think the fact that you've already been to a World Cup gives you a leg up on the competition, right? So that so
Yeah.
this year's topic, obviously, of the World Cup is thrive. So I'd like to ask you, maybe you, Masego, you can go first. What thrive means to you personally?
I think what it means to me personally is going beyond your limitation. It's just really setting the bar beyond what pushing yourself further than what you've already achieved. So that's when I think of thrive, that's what comes to mind. Michelle?
Well, I think what drive means for me is like what you said, going beyond, not just doing something, but flourishing in that
Yeah.
level. You see, like yes, we are good business people as students, but now we are flourished to the part where we are at the World Cup stage.
Yeah.
See, now we are flourishing. We are doing beyond what we are capable of doing. We are proving ourselves. We never thought we'd be in corporate, but
Yeah.
yes,
So,
so
so it's
just flourishing.
safe to say you both have been thriving this past year.
Yes.
Yes,
Safe to
you
say
say
that.
that.
All right. Well, thank you both. Good luck at the World Cup, and
Thank you so
Thank
yeah,
you.
much.
I can't wait to meet you all there. Um, this was the Popping Bubbles podcast, our special edition, where we talk to teams from around the world who will be representing their respective Enactuses at the World Cup 2023 in Utrecht. Thank you both again. Good luck, and
Yeah.
we'll speak to you next time.